Hello, Jimmy. Hello, Enigma. What did you do for workout? I also worked out. I'll feel it tomorrow. Hi, Kinsley Rosie. Hello, hello, hello. Yo, look what I got. Look at this. Look at this. Do y'all see this? I don't know what this says. I assume it's Chips Ahoy. Like coffee flavor or something. I don't know what it is. There's no English on it. I'm not sure what flavor it is, but I'm gonna try it. Damn, dude. Good stuff, man. Proud of the progress. I'm gonna try it. Is it good? I hope so. Good stuff, man. Killing it. Keep going. Whoa, what? Oh, they're like little cookies. Whoa. Oh. It smells so good. That's fire. I don't know what flavor it is, but there's a picture of a coffee.
Mommy milkers.
Hi, Daniel. Drive safe.
Big, huge milkers and huge, big milkies.
It's good stuff. Anyways, let's play some Great Ace Attorney. I don't remember what the trial was. The Google app on my phone? What? How do I use it? I've never used it before. Oh, like a translate app? Oh, I'm good on sleep. I rested a lot today. Like the Google Translate? Camera. Oh, wait, why is it translating to French? I don't know French. Is this Japanese? Like, I don't even know. Oh! It's coconut coffee. Huh? Solid, it's so good. That's handy. I didn't know you could do that. That's a cool feature. I learned something new today. Alright, before I continue on this trial, I don't even remember what happened. I'm gonna have to go back to the records and see what happened, because I have no idea what happened. What the? Oh, this is the one with the hot air balloon. Yeah, I remember. Also, look at this. Lovely concoction. Made possible by the wonderful Jish. Sent me some blueberry soda. That's fire. There's fire all around me. Yo! Kinsley Rosie, thank you so much for subbing. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. Yo, Kaden and Sammy. How are you guys doing today? Good, I hope. Bro, these things are so good. I need more. I only have a 2-pack. That's huge help because I don't know what it's at now. I think it's at 96 out of 100. I think I'm at 96 or maybe 95 or maybe 94. I don't know, somewhere around there for my sub points. So that's a huge help. Yo!
Thank you. Far too kind.
Of course you continue this when I'm going to work.
Joino, sorry. I wanted to play today. Do you work all night? I still love you though, bro, and I'm excited to see you in a couple days. Oh, snap. Hello, Hasfar. Oh my gosh, you're for now. Good night. Yo! What do you mean? Candy, thank you for the 200 bits. I appreciate it. Dad facts, don't worry, bro. I'm going back in 4 weeks.
Thank you. Far too kind.
Kinsley Rosie, thank you so much for gifting 5 subs. I appreciate the heck out of that. That's very nice. Much love. For real, I really do appreciate it. You're the GOAT. Hopefully you get good sleep past far. And it's not that long from now, bro. There's GDQ, and then when I get back from GDQ, it's 22 days. No, yeah, that's like 3 weeks. It's not too bad. Claps for Kinsley. I know, I appreciate it. That's huge. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Anyways, we played this before my trip, and we got to the trial, and then I went on a trip I didn't know what was going on, so I wasn't able to play it for like 2 weeks. That's okay, Dad facts. We will, if you go back in 3 weeks to where you were this weekend, if you go back, you'll see me, because I'll be there the whole time. And I don't have a car, so I'm stuck. Caboose, caboose. Hello. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, we played this, and I took a 2-week thing in the middle because I went on a trip, and now look. Now we're here. I don't really remember what happened, but we'll get the brain juices flowing. Dad facts, you're not going. Dad facts, are you going? No, welcome on in. It is early. Here I am back at the Old Bailey. Whoa, who are you? Oh, all good, man. We will miss you. But I will see you 3 weeks later. I will see you 3 weeks later. Hopefully. The 3 weeks later one, that one is on you. I'm down though. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor Hairbrain. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I never felt anything like it. Feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yes, well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? Counting on you in today's trial. To save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. My commiserations? The heck is that? Mr. Naruhodo, you appear to have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Runo, leaving me alone at home with Hurley. Took me at least an hour to wake him. Are you... Herlock Sholmes? Indeed, sir, I am he. Herlock Sholmes. What for all about your exploits? You most living in Germany. Ah yes, Rance magazine is on sale in Germany too. You know what else is on sale? There's a whole Steam sale, and I haven't even looked at it yet. But I will. I should probably buy some stuff. I don't know what's on sale. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in the adventure of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah yes, a memorable case indeed. Concerned a snake, I seem to recall. What's up, Adelaro? Bug Fables is so good. It's great. That's a steal. Yo, thank y'all for the hype train. I appreciate it. That's very kind. Y'all are the best ever. These things are also so good. I'm gonna get more. Oh. No, that was the Speckled Band. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. Sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow. I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I have urgent business at Madame Two Spells. You mean your waxwork job? No. Waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. That's also right. I forgot there was a wax museum. It's all coming back to me now. I'm remembering what happened. Kinda. Ah, so you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork naturally. As such, I tend to give it to my undivided attention. What is this emote that I got? A balloon animal? He left the balloon poop. Oh well, never mind then, I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, then you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable... I don't know what that word means. Desire for a pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Oh yes, quite, definitely, absolutely, I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck? I will be... I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Hairbrain. I thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. Hello? What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Runo. I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It could barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking out the wrong tree. But how could an experiment that had no possibility of succeeding in any fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I have no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. Goodbye. Hi, LaRouge. How you doing? I know you like you some Ace Attorney. Looks like you're on your own today, Runo. But chin up, you can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? Ah, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. Hee hee. It's gonna be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. Ha! Sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to begin to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We are on our way. Dun dun dun! Oh, we are so back, baby. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. Let's go. I'm so happy. I got you. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Rinosuke. That's the key to this case. (23rd October, 9:10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrain. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and the defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. I'm 6 months out of practice, and what's more, I'm without Sato-san today, so I'm all on my own. It's just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say, I recollect the victim in this case all too well, Mr. Odie Asman. Mr. Asman was well known as a financier, but that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities. It's only a month ago that the man appeared in court, prosecuted by you, Lord Menzies. The jury unanimously found him not guilty. As every member of the jury had been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals were prepared to go extreme lengths to keep their freedom. But 2 days ago, on 21st October, Mr. Asman met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? That is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. The fact remains that Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain. Very well then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. Are the six of you ready to fulfill your societal duty? I am most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down me timbers. Whoa, look at this guy. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances. Any superior scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang. Corn! The whipping guy? Which whipping guy? We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and then settle on one. That's it, isn't it? Oh, I don't think I've ever seen him on TikTok. Like an actual whip? I've never seen any type of whip. My For You page is constructed differently from yours. Hongshu me 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 me. Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. Yo!
Thank you, far too kind.
31 months is a long time. AG, why did we draft a big when we literally signed our current big to a 3-year extension the day prior?
I got you, Spark. I got you with the inside scoop. So the reason we did that is because we're moving Bam to the 4, where he plays more natural. and doesn't have to rack up fouls against all the big bodies, and he doesn't need to help in the paint anymore as much. So I never seen the kid play, but we did. I feel like we did need a type of player like that. So that's why we did it. But I'm very happy with the extension, and I'm sad I haven't seen him play yet, but I'm cool with the pick. And I'm also cool with you, my guy. Thank you so much for the 31 months. I appreciate it. Go. Jacques the Ripper. Jack the Whipper. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him. I'm gonna Google image him. Is that his name? Jack the Whipper? Haha, yo, you're so right. He does. He has the same exact mustache. I've never seen him. They have the same mustache. That's fire. The police killer Automol lookalike again. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems. I remember this guy fell asleep in the wax museum. Unless I'm thinking of the wrong guy, but I remember some old police guy falling asleep in the museum. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, the incident we're here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening. The death toll could have been far worse. With the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. Tragic turn of events, and as such, the eyes of all London, no, the whole world will be on this trial. It's our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zieks. The heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world. One of science's latest developments, I take it. Government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. Technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. Good lord. Designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled. Is such a thing even within the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking. Yo, let's go. Appreciate it. This whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you're a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field. And my word on the matter can be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So this expert and Mr. Schultz are in agreement. It's impossible. What is the prosecution's view on the matter? Prosecution would assert that the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? What? Rot? Order! Professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. If it is deemed to have merit, a substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Aspen's life. In order to be the sole benefactor of the grant... Oh, that was a period. But... This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Thank you, Lord Van Zieks. The prosecution's stance is clear, but you will now bring forth witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. Oh! Bailiff, show the first witness to the stand. Let's go. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrain, scientist. You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery, which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at a great exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, alright? An incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. And everyone saw it, they must have done. Yes, there was the terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that much is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. Ooh! We haven't seen this picture before. This was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it. Centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim rammed straight into it. I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence. Ah, interesting. As the courts heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, he was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right, that must be it. My splendid machine. My poor splendid machine. You saw it yesterday, didn't you? Can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage? The wreckage? That being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your finest pardon. Isn't that right, witness? What? Sorry, V? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir, it was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty. What? Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. Corpse that went crashing into the Crystal Tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake. The post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere, and this fella's the only one who could have done it. Alright, I see where this is going. An extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. Coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No, and no, that couldn't be further from the truth. I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the birdcage, ready to be beaten instantly. The second level of the Crystal Tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. What's up, Shaw? Maybe you're dizzy from lack of eating. I don't know. Just throwing out ideas. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. Glass caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the Crystal Tower's large round window. My word. One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it's just an accident, a terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. Murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. Prosecution will like it entered into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. Nice. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. And the only other person on stage was with Mr. Asman was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. And really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well, counsel for the defense. Proceed with the cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. It's been a while. Okay, let me see this new stuff that I got. Okay, what do we got here? He looks so peaceful. Okay. Hold it! Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense. Didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose. You have something to tell me? What's up? Geoguessr! Too right. Obviously, at first we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well. We're saying it's not the case. You'll let your answer once I'm finished. My fish and chips. You don't keep buttoning every few seconds. We all know that's a bottomless bag. That's funny. Press and then look at Hairbrain and press him. Right, that's what we all thought. But it was a red herring, wasn't it? Alright, let's do it. So press. Hold it! So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself personally. Oh. Oh, well, okay, hold on. Oh, you got it wrong, didn't you? That's right, that's the point. Calculation is so complicated, even I can make a mistake. People fall for that brazen confidence. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, that you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asman was wearing at the time, I suppose. Ah. Crackling comments. The answer should have been 3. So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third. Alright, let's do it. Okay, so press. And hold it! Oh. Oh. Defense knew nothing of this crucial information. Prosecution, I'm messing this up. Prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first who knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah, yes, that would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it? Counts. Ah! Wait, so like right here? There he is, my trusty little companion, Andrew. Okay. Andrew, of course. Ah, do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends. Like all my tools. Andrew. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael. His brother Wax used a crosshead. It would appear that you, beloved Andrew, has a red stain on his shank. Ah, that isn't... It's blood. Beyond all reasonable doubt. No. And that's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? Order. Court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. Okay. So one of Professor Hairbrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great. Alright, let's press this thing. Hold it! Are you suggesting that because he fell from a considerable height, so I look at him? And then what do I do? Keep talking?
Excuse me.
Professor Hairbrain, are you hiding something from the court? Ah, it's 4. What the? What was that? Let's calculate the neutralization coefficient of electrical charge required for electrolysis of a human subject. That's pretty cool. I had to keep the result a secret at all costs, you see. That's why I ate the paper I did my working on. And I've completely forgotten the number. Dear me, I am scatterbrained sometimes. Well, moments before you ate the paper, you did yell out the number 4. No, you know it. You know my secret coefficient? That was a great little animation. I liked it. Thank you for sharing. Enjoy work. Eat some spicy mango Doritos. This is bad, oh my goodness. Perhaps you could just focus on the testimony. Alright, let's see. Let me look at this. Interesting. Hi, Megan. This is blood, Mr. Asmon's no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. Okay. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. Which could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. And let's see this real quick. Okay. I'm looking at all this because it's been a hot minute since I saw this stuff. So I'm just refreshing my memory. Oh yeah, I forgot about this too.
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that? Huh, do you really need to ask? There are only 2 people on that public experimentation stage. In front of the whole crowd. The victim, Miss Rhodey Asman, and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. You know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw him with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion in Kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could possibly...
Scott! Excuse me!
Excuse me! Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor... sorry! I was just calculating the optimum coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that. It seems as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Yes, that's right. Of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, man? I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman, as you say. Eh? Explain, please, Professor. Of course. These cold-hearted policemen may not be aware, I suppose. Humans are warm-blooded animals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. And surely you see, if I plunged something the size of Andrew into the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood swimming pool. Ah. Thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see, not one. What is this guy doing? Oh, I'm mesmerized. Sure, I didn't see anything like that. Alchemy. Well done, Professor. That was... Wait, did that just turn yellow? I kind of saw that post switching scene. Order. I'll join him. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hollow chalice to accompany my old friends adducing. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Barack. I'm really not a patch on you. No, you're not. No? Neglected to mention one crucial possibility. Have? Particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Of course. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Very well. You'll amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. The victim was stabbed what must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air. Okay, I think I know what to do. Well, I suppose all I can do is press these witnesses for as much new information as possible. Alright. What does this say again? Ah, right here.
Objection!
Objection! See that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there's no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend. Even on your side of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. Thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Oh, well, now you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Hey, no, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. It's very clear he wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight, on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have still been on the stage. Ah. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman. It had been found still lodged in the victim's chest. Oh. Ah! Order! How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't. Looks as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. The screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously, that should have been beamed to the destination as well. You. It's been a while. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was gone. I was on vacation. You know, people are saying that is instantaneous kinesis. This is scientific impossibility. We're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Time to tighten the screws here. My lord, the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument. We can only conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. Lord Van Zieks is stumped. Oh! Do you have something to say, witness? Yes, I knew it. Bears out. Equations hold. Shinaruhodo, don't worry. About what? Without delving into the details, there's no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Asman's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on stage is consistent with my calculations. What? What? It seems your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation? Just when I found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists. Very well, the defendant will testify again. Provide us with the scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Ba, 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 ba. Cookie. To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states the kinesis can not transport metal, though, hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruto isn't an inconsistency at all. Ecto, Metapod. Hello, my friend. You ready for the summer of friendship? Mr. Asman was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Yeah, it's gonna be super sick. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. Oh, like work related or what? Or just like logistics related? So the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is... Me neither. I have done no planning. Don't even know where to fly. That based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency, and therefore, Professor Albert Hairbrain could still have been the killer. My great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. So I'm addressing you, witness. Professor Hairbrain. Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist after all. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh. Alright, let's see what we got.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it, so it isn't proven then. No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one based upon thousands of calculations. It is widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusa cage in which Mr. Asman was placed for the kinesis. I see. Well, what about his glasses? Is that metal? Now, the jail cell in which the victim was detained does seem to be made of timber of some sort. Thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes. It all fits perfectly with the mathematical model. To the ultimate conclusion then, the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Indeed, sir. Someone beat me out of this nightmare. Alright. Let's see if his glasses are made out of metal.
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made, is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photo. I'd ask you to look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No, metal can't. That's not metal. No! I've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if our hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place. My hypothesis! Professor Hairbrain, This isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Order. Council, what is the implication of this? If on the main question, the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on stage. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. If I can say something here, in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Security Society. Yes, sure, number 4. Go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. That's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait! Great Scott, are you suggesting my science is suspect? Look, it's gonna turn yellow. Aha! That's pretty cool. It's been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the wreckage of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. No, never. That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil is that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? Let's raise an objection.
Objection!
Professor Hairbrain is yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. But even so what? What is such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public? He would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
Hold on, I'm gonna check if my door's open. What's up, Jake? Oh wait. I think I heard someone just close it. Alright, we're good. I kind of heard like my dog around my door area from here, so I wanted to make sure my dog wasn't outside, but we're good. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. The government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible. He and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators. What would be the value of such a grant? 10 pounds? You're an order of magnitude out, madam. 500 pounds a year. Oh my gosh, corn. So much corn. Oh, you could live in handsome on that much for years. Society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently, and plenty of scientists arguing with each other to go get the largest slices of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. No, I haven't deceived anyone. Least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound, the science is sound. Please, you must believe
Objection!
me. No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Barack. And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Barack. Where's this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Manzeeks. Prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses? What would be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. Prosecution stance is clear. This experiment was no postage. The heck is that? The accused killed the financier victim. Wait, what? Financier. The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage, there before the eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. And where does that leave me? We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. Oh, yeah. Whoa!
Mommy milkers, big mommy milkers, big huge milkers, and huge big milkies.
God. Alright, we're continuing. I know I usually stop it to be continues, but that one was quick. Good night, Kinsley. Thank you so much again. I appreciate it. Hope you have sweet dreams and have a great day at work and make all the money. And have a great day at work ×2. Mr. Naruhodo, what on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing it all along? My hypothesis, my amazing hypothesis. You've been picking holes in it from the start. Sorry about that. But you promised me. You said you'd prove that the dreaded explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. All you've done so far is try to undermine me. Yes, it did make you a promise, you're right. You said that I'd believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, the man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh. Oh no! You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. And I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster. Not just as a scientist, but as a human being. That got heavy. Well, that'd be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject, what about Barack? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? He's a disaster. Not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore. Glad it's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Yes. What? Machine and demonstration you prepared. You're based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume. There was no trickery involved. Kawooga! Hello, my friend. How are you doing? I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. Ace Attorney does rule. This whole series is super fun. Yeah, heck yeah. How have you been, man? Good, I hope. It's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. Alright, Professor, I understand. Counsel, defendant. Prosecution's witnesses are ready to take a stand. The court is about to be in session again. You're trying to move to Washington State? I've been talking heavily about Washington State in a good way. Oh man, I want to go to Washington so bad. I know, well, I couldn't have this time, but there will be times in the future. Bremerton? No, I never heard of it. Is it north, south, coast? Bremerton. Whoa, that's pretty nice. Coast. That's really nice. The professor's hypothesis is sad as he claims. It leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. Whoa, that's sick. Yeah, I want to make my way to visit that whole area eventually. It's on my list. I'll be there at some point. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it eventually. I'm not just saying I'm gonna do it and not do it. Like, I really want to go. So at some point, I might like, because I also want to do a Alaska cruise, and I know they leave from Seattle a lot, so I might do like all in one, like blah, 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 blah. I think that's a good tie in. Just do that whole area. That would be super cool. I think I'm down to do that at some point. Damn, that's all. That's almost the whole month. When do I stream? Practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition is quite impossible. Hey, there's a lot of places you need like a week to see. There's a lot, but I just I'll be gone for so long. Okay, here we go. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsel for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? Prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Ranziques, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed they did. And as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect. The detective of all people. Prosecution stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. Prosecution's position is clear. So bring forth the witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Who is it? Ooh! Oh! Oh! Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Loon. Look at his hat. It's a hot air balloon. Oh! Loon! And the impresario of all the hot air balloons in vicinity of the experimento stage. My name is Wilhelm Gerstreich Sigmund Erstmein. I have come to the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I'm very rich. Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Sherlock Holmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition and I got up to go in one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina, again. She did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon actually, didn't she? She clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. Make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. But you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? Thank you for introductions. Now, you will give your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you at a vantage point above the stage. Let's do it. It was an incident terrible. What? Where is this dude from? Terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons are not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and the next second another bang in the sky beside us. Oh! And from amid the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. Cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. Didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. Most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Can I just clarify something? There's detail in the witness's testimony that I have not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions. See, that's what I was thinking. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage. And a moment later, the second explosion occurred, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. The birdcage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. Another one? I still have lots of money. Precisely. Who is this curious infant? I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the great exhibition. Ja, I'm here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We'll have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do you really need that? When I remove my mask, this is what I look like. I guess you see a delightful face, I'm sure. Ja, everybody says so. Great disguise then. Point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the fact that for the court, namely, that despite ending an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the crystal tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused, who was with Mr. Asman on the stage, possibly have committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. Okay. I'm gonna press this. This is super important.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the incident, or the accident happen from up in the air. Yep. Isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? Telling you, Otto. Being a lawyer is a mug's game. You should join the force and we can go flying together. You know me so well. Yeah, so anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. We saw everything. So we were up above it all. A dodgy Cole climbing into the cage and a dodgy professor pulling all them levers. That's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared just like that. You're describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe. I didn't know what to make of it. There was another bang right in the ear. I look around and there was a huge great fireball right next to us in the sky.
That's Peter.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Master Gods, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use your full name. Yes, what was it again? Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund Ormstein. Just the 4 names then. Point is, you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps? Oh, I get it right, Otto. It's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address him at the moment? That is not what I saw. Oh? Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon. That is true. But I'm sure. Just what I said, isn't it? 1 minute there was nothing there, and the next a massive explosion. My teacher at the elementary school said that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Our Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy. This guy's making bank! Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. A green balloon? That's the... I have fabric! A green fabric! You what? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did. I saw it and you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it's a lie. That is not allowed. It's his playing the bleeding royalty card, are you? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony in the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia. It was not the sky that exploded, it was green balloons that was next to ours at the time. Look.
Objection.
Oh. Hold on. I'm gonna do that again, but I'm gonna investigate my... I didn't investigate it yet. Looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. Never seen anything like it before. It plans to show his methods. You introduced it as part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. And the charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or are you not? Okay. I guess I can't do that yet.
Hold it!
A green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I'm sure. I'm proud Bohemian Prince. All of these questions are making me boring. Think you mean bored. Ah, English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior. Ragazzo, it is very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons never explode, for the same reason the planets never explode. It's logical. Please tell me it doesn't mean logical. If you insult me, insult all of Bohemia. I'ma die. I will have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. May I have another? He might be. Here you are, Your Highness. If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Now that peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps you could return to the testimony. Did y'all see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No. I did not see explosion myself. However, his hat has fire in it.
Hold it!
You see that actually happen? No. In reality, I did not. I saw it after it hit the tower. There was a grand confusion around the stage. I ran to see what had happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed. When I looked up to the sky, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it though. I saw it slam into the tower after all. I'm a detective now. And tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear.
Hold it!
What's up, trainer? How you doing, dude? Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Use your head, Otto. How could it have been me? I was up in a balloon, weren't I? Right. It's because I weren't available. It was the boss who had to leg it over there. He was getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicked spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. It's a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. So anyway, couldn't see the cage that well because of all the smoke. I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I was scared out of me wits. I'm chilling, bro. Playing some Ace Attorney. I had some new Chips Ahoy that from the Asian market that I bought. The three balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand. See, all three of them, my bellissimi bambini. Yo! Wait, are those your emotes right there? They are! Who made them? That's really good. They are very popular, senor. Some people would pay £10 for one ride. Yeah, good stuff. It's more than my annual stipend. It's £20 a month. That is my pocket money. Get up there for free. I did. Played the old I work for Her Majesty's police car, you know? They take us of all the luck. Yo, sweet. She did a really good job. Dun, dun, dun. They're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons though? Because if I have too many in the skies, they could crash into each other. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. Yo, Chips, how's it going, dude? See, and the zone above public experimentation stage is the most profitable. The other impresarios, they hate me. Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of arrangements for balloon rides at the exhibition. Perhaps you could hear more about what you actually witnessed of the incident. Right, I can fill you in there, my lord. Okay, well, we pressed that, we pressed that. I think we pressed that. Alright, so I should present something now. It's not a circus case, but that guy, he's like a hot air balloon operator. Look at his hat. It's a hot air balloon with a fire. I have some sort of lever here. Oh my gosh. What is this? Looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing too. Oh. Look at that. We found a crossbow. Looks like you wind this around in order to draw the bowstring back and create tension. Must be able to fire arrows with a huge amount of force using the device then. In fact, I would imagine it's far more accurate and powerful than a Japanese longbow. Oh, I really had no idea what I was picking up when I spotted this at the exhibition grounds. This groove here must be where the arrows are loaded, I suppose. So I was right, it's a sort of bow with an automatic firing mechanism. This would be perfect for someone like me who catches easier with bowstring 2 times out of 3. In fact, if I had one of these, maybe I could have Bien Kazuma and Kyudo archery training. Okay. Interesting, we got a crossbow. Interesting. Wait. Isn't there a third balloon here? Okay, I think I pressed everyone already. I definitely pressed that, and I definitely pressed that. I definitely pressed that. What's up, Tyler? Yeah, we're getting there, bro. We're getting there. Today's June 27th, so I have... It's at the end of the month, so the 30th. But I'm going to GDQ on the 29th. So I have today and tomorrow for streams. I can still get it even when I don't stream. But for streams, I have today and tomorrow. And then I'm leaving on Saturday. What's up, Shoddy? You got the main one? I think Wolfie has it. Wolfie redeemed it earlier today. Okay, here's what I think happened. Here's what I think happened. I'm gonna say my prediction. I'm gonna say my prediction. Sophie. Alright, so... Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So we'll get close at least. We'll get close. Okay, so here's what I think happened. A green balloon was in the sky, and I think the dude, homie that died was in that balloon. In the third balloon. And someone used a crossbow, and it shot the balloon, bang, and the birdcage that fell from the sky, the birdcage that everyone is saying like crashed into the wall, wasn't the birdcage on the stage, it was the balloon basket. And it crashed into the tower, and the dude that was in the tower died. I think that's what happened. Wait, let me see if...
Objection!
Damn it! I should save. I'm scared. Let's save. Okay. I'm gonna press this, but I'm gonna keep going with the press because before I got interrupted. Okay, I look around and there was a huge great fireball right next to us in the sky, and there was nothing there before. When it appears out of the flames, the cage, that's what. that description sounds like the moment after the man was beamed instantaneously through space. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? But that's the 20th century for you, I reckon. So people actually saw a demonstration with their own eyes. Really believed they saw something miraculous taking place. Dang, but... Oh. Wait, did I press this already?
Hold it!
I did.
Objection!
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Confused. Okay, let's look through all our options here. It's definitely not this. Definitely not that. This, like, it shows two balloons here.
Objection!
Oh no. I have to load. Okay.
Objection!
Dude, I don't. I feel like I got the case right. I don't know what to present. I feel like I got it right. There's no way I didn't get it right. Is it not the green thing? I feel like I did this already.
Objection!
Oh my god, I'm pissed. Okay. Okay, let's see. I don't think it's that statement. already did this. Okay. Switch around trick. Dude, what? Tripping, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know here. Oh. This is from the green balloon, surely.
Objection!
Oh god, I'm so annoyed. Yeah, I'm losing my mind here a little bit. Oh, I'm gonna try something.
Objection!
Oh, finally! Holy cow, dude! I had it right the whole time. I just didn't know what evidence to use. Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all three of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they had been caught in the explosiones, it would have been terrible. I wonder if you might know what this is. I think it may be, see, part of a balloon. A burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope? Pardon, that is a large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It's made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip when you're in the sky. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Gods testified, the green balloon did indeed explode that day. Eh? If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. These balloons all popped. The balloon exploded that day. Why didn't the man say so? Maybe everyone on board was killed. Oh no, haven't just spent 10 whole pounds for the experience? How awful. Seems to me like those things crash 50% of the time anyway.
Objection!
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage. Point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were. but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. This I cannot accept. Why not, Mr. Loon? You're suggesting that I'm a liar. That person's died in a balloon incident. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day. That's right, and I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It's not possible. You're saying it's impossible? Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day.
Objection!
We can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon. I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons you were operating at the exhibition. Ah, grazie, my lord. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All three of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in explosion, what a catastrophe. She can't get away from the fact that a burnt up beetle cloth was found at the scene in Kenya. Coppers at the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. This stupid old ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. Interesting. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw is not the one belonging to you. Si, exactamente. Even if you saw a balloon in the first place, I do not like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back, and it will be war. All out war. Here's money. What happened to all our war? Michelin certainly doesn't appear to be lying. That doesn't change the fact that testimony and evidence are contradictory here. The defense is unable to find fault with the witnesses' statements. The court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had landed in the sky safely. You could just have forgotten one, maybe? Signor. I didn't notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we were talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I could make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check this gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear no mistake has been made then. Surely Miss Lestrade could have been sent for such a banal task. Heal. But me? Hello! I'll tell you what I told the boss. The boss, East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously that ain't true. But the boss bought it and said he'd have to give himself in that case. Beautiful, thank you. Appreciate you. All 3 of my balloons are carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in explosion, what a catastrophe.
Hold it!
It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky? Are you an idiota? Sorry? It's like asking, why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright. And a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Ha! Yo, enjoy your view bot. Don't worry. Appreciate it. Thanks for view botting. Hopefully, I pray for your return. There are two types of flying balloons, hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air, whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, my balloons are filled with magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen, lighter than air, highly explosive. Good lord. Do not permit smoking of cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic gas does not like fire. Interesting. Hello, Lurk. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What does it matter with you, Signor? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat. None of my balloons exploded that day, I'm completely sure. If you still say that is what happened, you must show me the proof.
Hold it!
I'm surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the areas surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not into picking stuff up off the ground, me. Always worked out way better diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thinking as though the cage went crashing into the crystal tower, didn't it? So that's where most of the investigating was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence. Cor, listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon and suddenly you're the best investigator in the world. Pardon? We ain't got a badge. Avia, like this one. I can arrest you with this if I wanted to. God, dude, I hate the like different types of spellings in this game, dude. It makes it so difficult for me to read. Oh, like this one, the one in the chapter 2, terrible. Couldn't think of it, there was talk of some scorching on the ground at a meeting we had about the investigation. Coppers of the art reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage.
Hold it!
There's considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the coves were watching the experiment were caught in the blast and injured. Good job the old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I didn't even consider that. Seems there was great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a torn piece of the envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can inspect repercussions. Like me swiping all his fish and chips, eh? None of this matters. A scrap of balloon envelope means nothing. Niente. Stupid Orgazzo's mistake. Balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway.
Hold it!
You mean the color is wrong? Si, senor. Do not have any green balloons in my warehouse. Yeah, that piece of green cloth was found at the scene. It's unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question. Why not? They're having recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on God, dude. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition? Si, exactamente. As the senor says, it is not from one of my balloons. Clearly this little ragazzo from Bohemia is Ooh!
Excuse me.
Something wrong, Master Gotts? It's Master Wilhelm Gottschrieg Sigismund Armstein. It's on the tip of my tongue. Ja, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear all over Bohemia. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. Here's some money. If you don't have evidence, Ragazzo, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? To give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim. Well, why didn't you say so sooner? I have the photograph here. Good gracious. What? And I've been up a balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. Oh! Took lots and lots of photographs of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibit, of the streets of London, of the hot eel cellars, the balloon. An instantaneous kinesis experiment? Did you take a picture of that? Yeah, one picture. Really? You did take one? But all I wanted was a ride in a balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us the photograph? Of course. And then you will see. What you will see is that I'm not lying. That I really did see a green balloon. How the heck is that a green balloon? Well, I see you're all too shocked to speak. Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man. Ja, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Wow! There's one very bohemian sounding cry. Wow! Very well, the court will accept this photograph as evidence. It's not my fault, it's the fault of the person who made the camera. Well, never mind, I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang. And a hot wind rushed over my face. This photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph, something. I cannot give the flying fig. Oh. Fourth balloon. Alright, let's see what we got. Let me see this picture closer. What is a flying fig? Wait. Is this like Where's Waldo? Is the killer in this picture? Looking for a guy with a crossbow. That would be pretty lit. There's no one in this balloon. Okay. Why don't we present this? Here, let's save and present that picture because there's no passengers in that one. Hello, Subaru.
Objection!
Let's go! Thanks for popping in and saying hi. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gods took can't tell us the color of the balloon, but it can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? Shows that picture. The picture balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Oh my goodness. You're right. Surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See, they're for pleasure, for seeing the view. My balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day... Alright, take care. There was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. Mysterious green balloon. I know nothing, niente. I can only tell you one thing. This balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine. Oh, look at his balloon. It's throbbing.
Objection!
There are illegal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the great exhibition and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See, the competition trying to steal my profits. I did not notice because of the experimento that went wrong on the stage. The fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below. Right, so them scraps that fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks. They didn't come from the stage at all. It was bits of the balloon raining down. Because the one who was in it didn't get no attention. The mysterious fourth balloon carried no passengers, silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue trader. Clearly it had nothing to do with the case. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. Prosecution calls this trial to be concluded. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. Jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? There's more.
Objection!
There's a beam of light that's intriguing me a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait, please don't give your decisions yet. Photograph from Master Gods may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? A vital clue?
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now. So tell the court. What exactly does alleged clue in the photograph prove? The cause of the explosion. You can easily assume that the pictured balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. Ja, that's right, Ja. It was not my fault. Evidently, because the birdcage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon, being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel in favor of the defense, you will highlight the location of the alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. And what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have. In a way that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. A clue that heavily suggests the real reason the balloon exploded is... I want to say it's right here.
Take that!
Having this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appears to point directly to the balloon. Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. If you look with the magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Oh. Goodness, what is that? It's at least some flash of light, yes. Oh golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire heading straight for the balloon, like an arrow. Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word. Are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
Oh, that's where you're wrong, buddy boy. Actually, it's my opinion. A particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? If such evidence exists, counsel, then for goodness sake, present it, man. Which evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon? Right here!
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. Good lord. Is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil and set alight could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately... Blimey, you're right. That streak of light in the photo looks just like an arrow, doesn't it? Then the explosion of the balloon, it was... very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it. No! Order! Council, this is an extraordinary supposition. If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, then the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. The noise of the discharge? Of course. That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off in this exhibition grounds, it would have caused real panic. But with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no? Should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Objection!
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponese friend? The flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued. Well, wait a minute. What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what? Goodness me. Now I understand. That's what that sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. What? Did I just hear that correctly, Council? So going back now. The horse is bolted. Whoa, like that? Let's assume as I said, the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. That moment, flaming arrow was fired from the ground, caused the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. Oh, and the arrow hit him, not the screwdriver. From the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you would all agree it's entirely plausible that I've just described as the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. Good grief!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you described is no science experiment. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic. Well, Mr. Sholmes and Iris said that the experiment was a scientific impossibility. In which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day. In any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that? If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Trigger number 3. I thought what we needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Asman. Having this other man appear on stage to front the show as a body double. Ah, yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Asman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside would have been scattered to the forwards and it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture. Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend upon the mixture ratio. Juror number 4. Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode. By controlling the gas mixture ratio, explosive force can be altered. This is 5-head as heck, dude. The mixture ratio? Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible. So everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Well, goodness me. If we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Asman, was never present on the public experimental stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant who was on stage in full view the entire time. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Menzies can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrained is a suspect now. Oh. Oh. Dude, don't say a word, please. Don't say a word. Mr. Naruhodo, I appreciate your efforts, thank you. Professor? You can stop now, just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Harebrained? I, Albert Harebrained, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odie Asman. Yes, it was me with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver. What are you doing? Order, order. Defendant, explain the sudden confession.
Objection.
Professor Harebrained, what are you talking about? It's what I've said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. Stand there and claim it was all a trick, all an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it. Then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it. It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor. If you just let me, I can prove. Barack. Yes? I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please, ensure the special dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act is adhered to and protect my creation. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend. What? And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in light of the accused confession. Hi, Dragon. Thanks for lurking. I appreciate it. You intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, special dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. Prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth. However, if you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. Well, counsel, what is the defense's official position on this matter? Professor Harebrained, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. There's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence? Or do I uphold my client's request but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. If it's silent long enough, isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind? Mr. Naruhodo, there's no escape here. I have to make a choice. It's an impossible one. I have to give up on something. But what? Defense asserts that the defendant's instantaneous case machine was in fact... It was a trick. No, I can't say it. My client places faith in me. Can't just let him down. What must I give up on? Is not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect? Oh! Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. Sato-san. But what are you... Hiya! Ah! There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. What's up, Cinnabon? Just working out, not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Harebrain. Yes? Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. Personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Asman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. Truth behind, is that what we must both pursue now? Blah! So, you finally open your eyes. What? And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this any longer. Ah. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? But, Brock, Lord Van Zeeks. Gosh, never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing. Something I remember that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your finest pardon? Thanks for lurking, I appreciate it. You're the best. Professor, did that man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see. One less lens than me too, a monocle, a rather stylish black monocle. One thing in particular will help to positively identify the man, you see. I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine? That's right. Mr. Asman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber? Does this name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. The man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. What on earth is he? Afraid this isn't the first tale of his nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with that name. Just talk of the other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is out for the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to these underhand tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion. Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Trevor's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you were so close to it being investigated, I presume. I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen. But at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, than a work of deception, that everything that I worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Trevor. I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Asmund and Mr. Trevor were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money. When I announced my inventions to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Trevor had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything anymore. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you not consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act? Yes, please go ahead. I'm very sorry. It appears that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zeeks, my lord, the court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Trevor. Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense. Yes, my lord. When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing, and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Okay. Sir Hodo. Yes. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Well, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry. Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Trevor was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing? Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, Sally, the murder accusation against you still stands, so you must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Runo, so it would be a surprise. Well, did it work? A surprise, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that sort of slipped out. Maybe you could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in the future. Susie's train was late into London and Victoria this morning, you see. We made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh, having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. Delighted to be here. Hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Professor Mikotoba. I didn't see that's it. Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. Sato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time. But despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Dun dun dun! See, now that's a good save point. Alright, we're definitely saving right there. We'll come back to it at some point. After GDQ. After GDQ. And now what do? I don't know what to do now. It's still so early. Geo? I could play some Geo. N64? After my trip, I'll continue my N64 marathon. The next game I'm about to play is a long game. And I only have 2 days before my trip, so I don't want to do it and then stop. So after my trip, I will play more N64. I guess I'll do Geo. Should I do like a random maps or a streak? Streaks? Okay. Let's do it! What? I got no idea. Wow! Oh my god. Damn. No, I got nothing. Da 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 da. Oh, I don't know what this is either. Nice. Da, 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 da. Vermont. Winooski Falls. F it. I've been there. I literally been there. It's like South Dakota. Oh, North Dakota. This has to be Hawaii. Dang. Okay, I got baited. Hi Mara, how you doing? Hello. I think this is Washington. Well, that was terrible. Hello, Rockin'. I'm excited. Well, it's less for me. It's like a day. I get there so early. Oh. I should have guessed detail. That was so terrible. True. But I try not to sleep so early on the first day, even though I probably will, because first day usually kills me. Da, 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 da. Oh yeah, you'll be there after everybody. Dun, dun. Yeah, I've recovered. I'm good at, like, sleep-wise. Hopefully I sleep at normal times. I don't want to stay awake so long. Last GDQ, I feel like I slept at normal times, and I think I like lasted better energy-wise. So hopefully it's similar. I got nothing. Oh, what an awful guess. This place looks cold. I got nothing. Oh, that yeah. Providence. Oh. Well, that was a terrible guess. Oh. I feel like I got tricked. Mount Roosevelt? I don't know where that is. Montana? Makes sense. Yo, let's go, Sammy. That's huge. Good stuff. Good stuff. Proud. How are you feeling? Probably super happy. I love to see all the gamers improve in Isaac. That makes me really happy. Good stuff. I think you have to beat him like 3 times or something, or like 5 times to unlock the next boss. I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly. I'm gonna do one more streak. Oh, the R key is great. Yeah, I love that item. Okay, last streak. Oh, I was thinking one of those. One of these up here. Alright, well. I think I have a few spins. I think I have one spin, actually. Okay. Okay, well, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my last stream for like a week. But thank you all for vibing. Much love. I'll send you all somewhere. Alright, sleep well everyone. Take care and goodbye.